sweet like a buttercup. You're a Barbie doll. Show them all what I'm made of. Strut down the hall. Won't stop till I get enough.
All right, welcome everyone. We're diving headfirst into the crazy saga of TikTok in the US. Seriously, you want to know how we got to a near ban and then a sudden revival?
It's a wild ride for sure.
It really is. Buckle up, because this deep dive is going to be packed with legal battles, presidential tweets, and more twists and turns than a season finale.
It's like a real-life thriller, huh?
No kidding. And our main source for all this is a CBS News article from January 19th, 2025, right when things were getting really intense.
So right in the middle of the storm.
Exactly. So let's start with the basics. In 2024, Congress passed a law that pretty much aimed to ban TikTok in the U.S.
Yeah, and that was mainly driven by national security worries.
Right. There were major concerns about TikTok's Chinese parent company, ByteDance.
And whether the Chinese government could get its hands on user data through them.
Exactly. But was there something more to it? Like, was this just about data?
Well, you have to remember the bigger picture. Governments all over the world were starting to really scrutinize these huge tech companies, especially the ones based in China.
So you're saying TikTok just got caught in the crosshairs of this global trend?
It definitely played a part. I mean, the worries about TikTok's data might have been amplified because of all the geopolitical tension going on.
That makes a lot of sense. Okay, so this law Congress passed, it wasn't just for show. They actually gave ByteDance a deadline.
January 19th, 2025.
To either cut ties with TikTok completely or face getting kicked off app stores and hosting services in the U.S.
Big consequences for sure. And to their credit, TikTok didn't just roll over. They fought back, claiming the ban was a violation of free speech rights.
And their legal challenge went all the way up to the Supreme Court, right?
It did.
And that's where things took a crazy turn. The Supreme Court actually upheld the ban unanimously.
It was a huge moment. I mean, a unanimous Supreme Court decision. That's a pretty strong signal that they were really worried about the risks TikTok posed.
You'd think that would be the end of it. Game over for TikTok in the U.S.
Right. Seems pretty cut and dry.
But then, just hours before the deadline, TikTok voluntarily shuts down in the U.S. Millions of users just cut off.
Oh, yeah. It was pure chaos. I mean, imagine creators, businesses, everyday folks, suddenly they lose access to this platform that was a huge part of their lives.
And then, enter President-elect Trump taking office the next day. He drops this bombshell on social media, tweeting, "Save TikTok."
Yes, that infamous tweet.
It was a total shocker. He promises to pause the ban using an executive order. Even assures companies they won't get penalized for supporting TikTok until he's officially in office.
Talk about unexpected. And TikTok, seeing this tweet as some kind of lifeline, starts bringing its services back online.
So basically, they went from shutdown to back up and running within hours, all thanks to a tweet.
Pretty much. But what was Trump's angle here? That's the big question, right?
$1 million question. Was he actually worried about American businesses and users? Or was this some kind of political power move?
It's hard to say for sure.
I mean, Trump's a master of social media. And he definitely has a history of going head-to-head with China on the economic front.
Oh, absolutely. Remember all the trade wars.
Yeah, exactly. It's interesting, though. Trump didn't just want to pause the ban. He floated this idea of a 50% U.S. ownership stake in TikTok, a joint venture, he called it, to save the app.
And even said it could be worth trillions.
Trillions. Crazy, right?
Well, that joint venture idea was definitely interesting. It seemed like a way to address those national security concerns head on, you know. Give American companies more say in how data is managed, maybe even how the algorithms work.
But how would that even work? Who would these American partners be? How much control would they actually have? And would this whole ownership shakeup actually make the Supreme Court happy?
Lots of unanswered questions.
For sure. So we're left with this huge mess. Legal ban upheld by the highest court, a temporary reprieve from the president-elect, and this kind of vague plan for some joint venture.
Definitely complicated.
But let's zoom out for a sec. Think about the people caught in the middle of all this. The millions of Americans who actually use TikTok.
Yeah, the human side of this story is important.
What does this whole saga mean for them?
I mean, for a lot of people, especially younger folks, TikTok isn't just another app.
It's a way of life.
Right. It's how they express themselves, connect with others. For some, it's even a job.
So a permanent ban, that's a big deal. Socially, economically.
Absolutely.
And we can't forget the creators, the ones who've built their whole careers on TikTok.
Yeah, they've poured so much time and energy into building a following on that platform.
And now their livelihood is on the line.
It's a tough situation. It really shows the risk of putting all your eggs in one basket, so to speak. When your income, your community, your whole online presence depends on one company.
Yeah, you're vulnerable
Yeah.
to government actions, algorithm changes, the platform shutting down. Anything could happen.
This whole thing's a wake-up call. For creators to think about spreading out a bit, making their online presence more resilient.
Diversify, diversify.
Exactly.
It's got to be a tough lesson, though, especially when you've put your heart and soul into building something on a specific platform.
It is.
And it's not just individual creators, right? What about all those businesses that rely on TikTok for marketing and reaching customers?
Oh, for sure. Millions of businesses, big and small, using TikTok to connect with people.
That CBS article mentioned that specifically, right?
Yeah.
If the ban goes through, that's a massive hit. Loss of revenue, loss of exposure.
And it goes beyond just small businesses. Think about major brands. They've jumped on the TikTok bandwagon too.
Because it's the way to reach younger audiences.
Exactly. And now they're facing the very real possibility of losing a key way to connect with those customers.
It just shows how deeply TikTok is woven into our digital world.
Totally. The ripple effects of a ban would be huge.
Okay, so on one side, you've got the potential economic damage for users, for businesses.
Yeah.
But on the flip side, we can't ignore the national security concerns that sparked this whole thing in the first place.
Right. The government, the Supreme Court, they seem pretty convinced that TikTok's data practices are a genuine threat.
They're worried, and for good reason.
Right. The big issue is, could the Chinese government use TikTok to access tons of data about American citizens?
It's a question a lot of governments around the world are asking.
It gets to the heart of some really fundamental issues. Data privacy, surveillance, the role of technology in global politics.
It's not even just about the data itself. It's about how that data could be used.
Exactly. In the wrong hands, this information could be used for all sorts of things.
Targeted propaganda, spreading misinformation, even more serious stuff like espionage.
That's the worry. And it brings us back to that classic dilemma. Balancing national security with individual freedom. How much privacy are we willing to give up? How much freedom of speech? All in the name of security. Where do you even draw the line?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
It is, and there are no easy answers.
It's something we're all going to be grappling with for a long time. Technology keeps evolving. These platforms become more and more ingrained in our lives.
We're in uncharted territory, for sure.
Figuring out how to navigate this new digital landscape and the TikTok situation. It's a perfect example of how complicated things can get.
It really is.
You got national security, free speech, economic impacts, the needs of users and businesses, all these competing interests.
It's a lot.
A high-stakes drama playing out on the world stage.
And the ending, who knows?
Totally unpredictable. This whole case shines a light on the challenges of companies like TikTok.
They operate across borders, subject to different laws and regulations in different countries.
It creates this incredibly tangled web. Legally, ethically.
A web that's not easy to untangle.
It feels like we're at a crossroads. This is bigger than just TikTok.
Oh, yeah. Much bigger.
It's about the future of the internet.
Yeah.
Technology's place in society.
Absolutely.
It's about the future of the internet. Technology's place in society.
Absolutely.
What happens next could set a precedent. It could change how governments around the world handle these types of tech dilemmas.
I think that's a really important point. And there are some key takeaways from all this. Things that go way beyond just this one app.
Like what?
Well, for one, it highlights how crucial data, privacy, and security are in this digital age.
You mean all that data we generate online? Every click, every share?
Exactly.
It's valuable.
It is. And this TikTok situation really drives home the need for more transparency from tech companies. We need to know how they collect our data, how they use it, and we need stronger rules, stronger safeguards to protect that data from being misused, whether it's by governments or corporations.
We can't just sit back and let it happen.
We can't.
It's a wake-up call for all of us to be more aware of our digital footprint.
Absolutely.
To demand better from the companies that hold so much of our personal information. And it's not just about us being more aware, right?
Yeah, it's bigger than that.
This situation with TikTok, it really throws a spotlight on the whole power struggle between governments and these tech giants.
Absolutely. It's happening all over the world.
Governments are realizing, hey, we need to step in.
They can't just let these companies do whatever they want.
Especially if they see it as a threat.
Yeah.
To national security or even just to the public good.
It's a whole new era for tech regulation, that's for sure.
The old rules just don't cut it anymore.
Nope.
And This whole TikTok saga, it's like a test case.
It could totally change how these battles are fought in the future.
But where does that leave the users? Stuck in the middle.
Well, to a certain extent, yeah.
It's like they're at the mercy of these bigger forces.
I wouldn't say they're powerless, though.
Really? What can they do?
They can speak up, make their voices heard, reach out to their elected officials, advocate for policies that actually protect them.
Right. Push for change. But we don't have to wait for the government to act, right?
Exactly. There are things users can do themselves to protect themselves.
Like what?
Well, think about what we were saying before. Diversify. Don't put all your eggs in one basket.
So find other platforms.
Yeah, and be smart about the data you share online.
Be more aware of that digital footprint.
It all comes down to being informed, being proactive. We can all shape the future of the internet.
This whole TikTok situation, it shows why digital literacy is so important.
It really does.
We need to understand how these platforms work, how they collect and use data, how government policies affect them.
Exactly. It's about being an informed citizen in this digital age.
So to answer our listener's question,
Yeah.
understanding the TikTok situation means looking beyond the headlines.
Yep.
Seeing the bigger picture, the trends, the tensions that are shaping our online world.
Data privacy, national security, the power of these giant tech companies, how governments and the internet are trying to figure each other out.
It's a story that's still unfolding, and we don't know how it's going to end.
The ending is still being written.
What do you think will happen? Let us know. Share your predictions, your thoughts, and as always, stay tuned for more deep dives into the things that matter.
Thanks for listening.
Sound the alarm. I'm coming up. We'll have a ball. I'm sweet like a buttercup. You're a Barbie doll.